Indian polity. It was Professor Sudipta Kaviraj who taught all these courses in a variety of nomenclatures for MA and MPhil students, occasionally in association with others, such as Professor Krishna Bharadwaj. If you look at the course content of Indian political thought, there was a strict separation between this subfield and political theory and thought on one hand, and socialist theory on the other. There was a predictable content. For the MA course, it included 19th century Bengal with Ram Mohan Roy, Brahma Samaj, and opposition to colonialism. Constitutional opposition with Dadabhai Nauroji and Gokhale. Extreme nationalism with Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, and Bipan Chandra Bose. Hindu revivalism and Muslim revivalism. Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru without qualifier, and communist movement, socialist parties, secularism, and post-independent trends. There were no original writings prescribed for reading except Maulana Azad's India Wins Freedom, strangely Nehru's autobiography, and Gopal has come to defend it now in his presentation. And I find Discovery of India was not mentioned, my favorite text. And Nambudiri parts, the Mahatma and the Ism. Clearly, there was little attention paid in drafting this course. In the socialist theory paper, both at the MA and MPhil level, there was not one Indian thinker or document. And remember, there was an interesting CPI document in the 1950s analyzing the class structure of Indian society, and it did not figure into the course at all or in the references. Several optional courses from the Center for Historical Studies were suggested, particularly to do with the national movement, and a few thrown in from Centers for Social System and Regional Development. Meanwhile, Center for the Study of Developing Societies, CSDS, was focusing on Indian politics with interesting early results. With the structural, post-structural turn in theory, Professor Kaviraj began to question the universal mold in which the discipline was cast in JNU. Kaviraj marked a threefold change. He questioned the hallowed trajectory of socialism by critically revaluing M.N. Roy's interventions at the Comintern, problematized modernity through Banking, and made a series of interventions with regard to the methodology of studying Indian politics. He proposed a series of nodal conceptual categories highlighting the distinctiveness of Indian society, the formation of identity under colonial modernity, the idea of differential structures and sequentiality, etc. Professor Rajiv Bhargav, deeply rooted in the Kant-Hegel interface and working through Rawlsian-Taylor debate, stressed the idea of difference and how certain central concepts of the discipline, such as secularism, came to be differently structured in India. The sensitivity of Kaviraj and Bhargav to difference also made them to discuss the distinctive relation between religion and modernity on one hand and secularism on the other, particularly against the dominant versions of secularization. While Professor Gurpreet Mahajan made some interesting interventions on multiculturalism, issues of autonomy and identity, and the distinctive trajectory of certain seminal concepts of the discipline in India, she has generally tended to reassert the continued validity of the liberal democratic project. I personally regard Professor Gopal Guru's interventions on issues of human dignity and social closures, social construction of marginality, ideas of nationalism and representation, social justice, and very nuanced understanding of Ambedkar as significant issues to engage with. There was some promising lead that Shefali Jha made on the distinctive route the idea of representation took in India. To confess, I have not followed her line of inquiry further. Social justice in India has been a favorite theme of pursuit of Vidhu Verma, bringing to bear on the theme much comparative insight. Both Vidhu Verma and Shefali Jha took a distinctive stance on feminism, but unfortunately, I have not read their work in recent years. I think the studies of Anupama Roy on citizenship are very significant and closely related to a critique of Indian state and the idea of sovereignty. Apart from her work on the debate on secularism, Rinku Lamba has been working on the Bhakti movement for many years, but I am yet to read this work.